I want to explain the situation to the girls that didn't follow Twitter. Let me explain everything with this. Okay, so basically the new patch preview comes out from Foxon. Patch preview. I do this. The most liked reply, again. This is the 6th most liked reply on Foxon tweet. I always tweet under patch previews, and I always type the same shit that Seraphine is trash, the mid-scopes were trash, majority of player base still play her as a mage. It is obliged.
Coca, are you feeling like a sad crying girl?
Bitch, I'm trying to explain the situation.
Feeling kitten girl, or a freak's hairline girl, or a wheelchair?
Shut up. It is obliged. Where were we? So basically, yeah, this is my like 10th post, and it's always the most liked. And they keep ignoring me. They answer to the random ass Kale ragebait comment, like here, but he literally ignores Seraphine at every fucking post. And so today morning, I put notifications. I woke up early. Put notifications on Froxon tweet, and I typed first. Again, I typed first. I made this post first, and then he kept ignoring me again. He kept replying to random ass tweets. Again, he was ignoring me. He was replying to 2 likes, question about the fucking cog. And I'm typing here already, babes. How are we answering 2 likes, cog questions? Scroll up, this is getting ridiculous. Then I like add everybody on Discord. I DM Pubic. I ask people to go to the sewers, meaning the Seraphine's Discord, to ask people to also like type their questions about Seraphine, like where is she in this patch notes? She got bug fixed. She's 48.5 win rate. Mid lane is dead, APC is dead, she feels horrible to play, and she's still not bug fixed fully. Where is she in the fucking patch notes? And why are they ignoring us? So then, like, hundreds of people went and replies, of course, sliding the replies. They finally answered to my question. That was his last question, like, tweet this day, okay? He went offline after this. And he replied, what makes you feel Sarah is weak right now, and what things would you like to see? What makes you feel Sarah is weak right now? What makes you feel Sarah is weak right now? Implying what? That she is not weak right now? She's 48.5 win rate at all ranks. At all ranks. She has no pro play presence. She has no high skill presence. She has no solo queue presence. She's literally dead in APC role. She's dead on mid lane role, which was her initial role. Her identity is botched. She's supposed to be a mage. And the only lane she's balanced for, she's still 48.5 win rate. Nobody likes this shit. And he says, what makes you feel Sarah is weak right now? And so basically, I made a thread here explaining my thoughts on the balancing. I say that we should be nerfing her E. We should be bringing back max QWE like before. We should be balancing for the first as a mage and for the second as Enchanter. It should be her viable playstyle, but she's supposed to be a mage, not the slave that presses double W and catches people with E. That's literally what she is right now. And so I typed all this. I asked people to, well, type their opinion about this, to reply to him and everything. I tagged everybody on Discord. I retweeted it. I asked Pubic to reply, and let's see what Pubic replied. Where's Pubic reply? Hi, I'm the... I'm sorry, let's skip this. Let's skip this first sentence. Let's skip the first sentence. Okay, let's do this. So in 14.5, so... Okay, for the context, before we read this, Pubic was also advocating for the changes. When the Seraphine changes came out in 14.5, he was advocating for them. And that also split the community among the Sera players. There were Sera players that were saying that, like, I'm horseshit, and that Pubic said that Seraphine changes are good, and therefore they were gaslighting themselves and other people that Seraphine was good when she wasn't, when she's botched, when she's dogshit every lane, and she's a dead champion after those changes. But anyways, just context. Let's read this. However, she feels horrible to play since for increased power in dueling, she lost wave clear on Q. With minion execute getting removed, as well as her Q no longer preventing minions from dying to other minions when in flight, on top of the base AD getting nerfed by 5. Well, these are all the nerfs for the APC, obviously. This makes her feel so horrible to clear waves with, and I think she definitely could use some buffs in this area. I mean, this was like the Freak's idea, obviously. He wanted to make Seraphine mid lane and Seraphine's APC inaccessible to regular players. That's how he made it this way. After 14.5, Seraphine still felt horrible due to not dealing damage to champions or minions, even with buffs shifting more damage into Q and E. So in 14.9, she gained 10% AP ratio and had her execute buff by 16%. Finally, Seraphine was strong once again and had a 56 win rate in bot lane, being able to deal damage to the wave thanks to 60% AP ratio on Q and good late game scaling with Enchanter builds, having a low cooldown on W and a stronger early game. So basically what he says, like, when the skin came out last summer, they overbuffed her. This is what happened. They overbuffed her W, they overbuffed her Q. She received like 2 buffs in a row. And then people found out good builds for both roles. So the Conqueror for APC and the Helia build with Guardian for support. So basically she became like 52% win rate support and 56% APC. When like literally nobody asked for that at the time. Nobody fucking asked for those buffs. But they released the skin and they overbuffed her. Okay, that's what happened. 14.22. Surf was nerfed again, and this time her buff from 13.9 was completely reverted. I think this should have been a partial revert of her Q, going from 60% to 55. What is he saying? 13.9. Probably saying 14.9. Going from 60% to 55 instead of 60 to 50. Currently her wave clear is too weak and feels horrible to play her, even the buff that she recently got. Only a buff that buffed. What am I reading? Even the buff that she recently got, only a buff that buffed her execute damage and not her ratio, which again doesn't fix the problem of her feeling horrible to play. Okay, let's not like, okay, let's skip this. If Seraphine budget doesn't have enough room to buff her Q ratio, then I suggest take it out of the execute damage. I mean, like, they could do this potentially, but they need to make flat damage better at least in this case, because her Q damage is very conditional. Like, her Q either does 0 damage or it bursts. There's no other way around. That's okay. I think this is okay suggestion. Like, they can remove the execute potentially, but make like the base damage higher. Seraphine, as she is now, has wave clear that feels worse than Zoe's has ever felt. Why are we comparing her to Zoe? I get that in the past, Seraphine's AFK wave clear spam into scaling with Q and W late game was unattractive and not fun to play against. However, her Q's and W's power has been nerfed so many times over the years that she doesn't even scale anymore into the late game. I think you need to put power back into her Q wave clear for her to feel good to play. I think they, like, this is the opposite of what they want to do. They don't want to give her any wave clear, and that is the problem. Because if they give her wave clear, then she's good APC. Like, I feel like the current Seraphine version is just impossible to balance. Literally impossible to balance. Like, if they give her back wave clear, then she's just good APC. And she's still trash support. So if they buff support, then APC is broken. They need to completely rework her. They need to do something about her W. Like, I don't know, they need to give her, like, maybe some scaling passive or whatever, like Sona has. Maybe. But Riot can figure it out, right? W changes to 14.5, shifted power from movement speed into cooldown and increased shield. This gives Seraphine good scaling, having her W out more often. And being... How much more is there of it? Okay, we're getting close. W more often and being very good with Enchanter builds. However, in 14.7 she got her W nerfed, and this hit scaling hard, losing 20 base shield late and 40 base shield for using double W on top of cooldown nerfs. So the 14.5 change of having cooldown buff and shield buff just vanished on top of losing her movement speed. Let me also add that in 13.21 she also had her base heal nerfed from base heal reduced to 3, as well as losing her scaling appreciation of targets missing health. I mean, again, they don't want to, like, this is the problem with APC again. This is the APC versus support problem. They don't want to give her any AP ratio on W, because if they give her AP ratio on W, then APC would make better use of it than support. The core issue is just Seraphine's W. It doesn't matter like how you look at it, there is always going to be a way APC can make use of her W better than support. This is the problem here. Is it that much problem? I think so, yeah. Because, like, what Seraphine's APC does is, like, basically she's abusing her Q wave clear early, and then she is getting much more gold than support Seraphine's, and makes use of her W with that gold. I feel like they need to just watch her W, potentially. But again, like, the main thing that Riot should pay attention to is that Seraphine is a mage, first of all. She's not an enchanter. She was released as a mage, people play her as a mage. Still, 70% of people who play Seraphine at all ranks, they still max Q. And the regular Seraphine players, like the casual Seraphine players that play, like, I don't know, in gold, in emerald, in silver, whatever the fuck, they still build Seraph's Rileys, even on support. They max Q, and they build Seraph's Rileys. They don't play Enchanter. There is very few percentage of people who opt into Enchanter playstyle. That is the most important thing I think Riot should look into. And I don't understand exactly what Cubic is suggesting here. Like, he said, like, the Q, make the Q flat. Okay, that can help, sure, but, like, where's the W mentioned? I think that her W is the problem, first of all. Back in 2020, when her champion designer worked at Riot, he once said, yeah, we know this. Ryder said, like, this is the Seraphine designer, and he said that he's gonna keep her mid lane. But then they fired him. They fired him. Like, I guess all he's saying that he wants to revert TLDR buff Q wave clear / W cooldown. But this is not fixing the problem. She's still gonna be the same dogshit champion. They need to adjust, they need to make something about her W, or give her some kind of like scaling passive or whatever that Sona has. And make QW Emax again. I think this is what they need to do. Thank you for listening to Seraphine players, and hopefully I can play Seraphine in the future without feeling like a minion. Thank you for listening to Seraphine players. Oh, not the Seraphine players being hurt here. After COCABOB spammed for 50 years. This is coming from the highest ranking Seraphine in the world. Not the highest ranking Seraphine in the world. Anyways, like, whatever. I'm not mad at Pubic, at least he listened to me and he typed this. So Riot hears us. That's fine. Who's adding me? That's a fact. What do you think of removing shield from normal W and making it give MS plus AoE slow? What the fuck are you talking about? Why would it give AoE slow? Are you stupid? Maybe I literally... The roll, I just reacted to it. I literally read all of it. Anyways... I hope that Riot, like, the main thing I hope for Riot to do is that they notice that Seraphine is supposed to be a mage. Literally, her whole playstyle right now, it doesn't matter if you play APC or, like, even if you play her mid lane, her whole playstyle comes out to one thing. She just presses W, double W, and then she catches people with E. That's it. She doesn't have any damage, and she cannot opt into mage builds, because then she's trolling. That's the main thing I hope they look at. I feel like if she gets a scaling passive, strikes are gonna push the Sona 2.0 Sir type even more. It's not about, like, being close to Sona. Many champions have scaling passives. For example, Syndra, when I miscap her. For example, Victor. They can make it so, like, I don't know, when she hits enemies or whatever, she gets some kind of stacks that help her upgrade her abilities. The biggest mistake for them was creating a real Sera support Enchanter player base. But, like, very few percentage of people actually play Seraphine Enchanter support. It's mostly a high elo thing. It's mostly OTPs play her this way because they want to maximize her impact. The regular Seraphis player base, like, let me show you. All ranks. We go to all ranks, and let's look at what people do. Most bot first items. Zag Rileys. Zag Seraphs. Zag Torch. Zag Rileys. Zag Rileys. Zag Rileys. Zag Seraphs Swifties. Zag Torch. Only 3 Helios here. Rileys, Torch, Seraphs, Ludens, Liandry, Maligma, Mandate. Is this Enchanter champion? Most build support items, Zag. Most max ability, Q. 70% of cases, 75% of cases, people max Q still. This is the regular player base. Nobody likes to play this horseshit playstyle that they incentivize. But that's the thing. The higher you go, the more people realize that to make her useful, you need to do what Freak told you to do. You need to max your W and E and play with that. So people play this trashy playstyle in order to climb and stay relevant. Like, even if we go Master Plus, like, let's just see. Master Plus, Dispatch. Still, Rileys is a second build. Rileys and Seraphs. We still see these items. Okay, here people at least start maxing W correctly, but still, like, around, I don't know, 30% of people still max Q here. If we go Emerald, Emerald still 50%, half of the players still max Q, and still build Rileys, and Seraphs, and Torch, and Zag. You can just play a different character too. Hahaha, I can just play a different character. Well, maybe. You can just watch a different stream, maybe. Or you can live another life. Or you can find something else to do. You know, if you don't care about the champion, doesn't mean that I don't care about this champion either. I don't want to play another champion, I want to play this champion because I played this champion since it came out. So I care about it, you know? And you can die. And you have a coronavirus. What are your thoughts on Cupic at the possible Seraphine change? What are your thoughts on Cupic at the possible Seraphine changes? Do you guys have the same thoughts on Seraphine changes? It's so hard reading these questions. The amount of the sexy end is crazy. Someone is calling you a master manipulator under your tweet. Yeah, that's the person who made 5 alt account on Twitter to reply on. Okay. And say that Surfing with Guardian actually has 53 win rate. But then I found that person account and he has 49 win rate on Serapis. And he's Diamond 1. And he plays Sona to win. And turned out that's also the same person that was typing the same shit on Reddit. And when I opened his Reddit page, he was in Minoxidil subreddits talking about balding. So he just got mad at me, I guess. Anyways, Poppy GG. Cardi B nipples